Dr. Catherine Baudains is an experienced and passionate environmental education and sustainability practitioner and lecturer in environmental education for sustainability at Murdoch University. She has completed a wide variety of research and currently works in a range of part-time teaching, consulting, and research roles, which includes project officer for Saving Our Snake-necked Turtle.
Thanks so much, Dean. That's great. It's okay. I'm quite relieved that I can go quickly and try and catch you up. It's all good. I'm just going to start with a disclaimer. Yes, my name's Catherine. My name is not Anthony, but I am presenting Anthony's slides. So I'm kind of a surrogate. I'm here as an educator, but he is actually the turtle ecologist. So be kind when you're asking me detailed ecology questions. I'm also going to take this little bundle of A5 flyers and leave them with Anna and the girls and ladies and gentlemen at the front desk. So at the end, if you want more information, you can go to our website. So I'm going to start with an acknowledgement. Kaya Bulap, Nala Karich, Wajak Nyungamort, Kayan Karak Nijabuja. Hi everyone, I'd like to personally acknowledge the Wajak Nyunga peoples as the original custodians of this unceded land and pay my personal respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Okay, so saving our snake-necked turtles. This is a really nice segue from the last presentation, because really it's all about knowing how important it is to know what's happening. The world's turtle species, you're probably aware, being the audience that you are in a lot of trouble. 63% of the whole across the world of our turtle species are already threatened or on their way to extinction. 2% are already extinct. There is only 27% of the world's turtle species that are classified as not serious concern. That's not a lot. 20% of our species of turtles are critically endangered, so the worst, right before extinct. But then there's this 8% that's called data deficient in the IUCN. Basically it means, well, we don't really know what category they're in. They might be endangered, they might not be, we don't know because nobody studied them. And that's where Saving Our Snake-necked Turtle project comes in, because our southwest snake-necked turtle only exists here in the southwest of Western Australia. There are other long-necked turtle species around Australia, but this is a very distinct species. We only have 2 freshwater turtles in Western Australia, this one and our swampy, the Western swamp tortoise, which is actually a turtle, just so you know. The project Saving Our Snake-necked Turtles is a 5-way project, which aims to involve our communities as citizen scientists so that we can halt what we believe is a current population decline of the southwest snake-necked turtle. Up until 5-6 years ago, the only evidence we had for that was the general community and our own observations as people going, oh yeah, a bit like the black cockatoos, you know, yeah, when I was younger, they used to be everywhere. You couldn't walk past the wetland without tripping over a turtle. Oh yeah, we still see them. And that's why, because they're a long-lived species, nobody had picked up that there may be a problem. Because they're a long-lived species, we still see them, so there's nothing to worry about. But was that true? Anthony, who is the person who should be here, but isn't, because he doesn't do weekends. No, not really. Not really. He's actually been out every single night doing community information and turtle tracker training projects, and he's actually down south at the moment delivering some of our regional work, which I'll tell you about in a bit. He's been conducting research on Perth's freshwater turtle, Kelladina oblonga, for about 7 years now. His research has looked at how land use around wetlands has changed, how that's influenced turtle populations. He's assessed how urbanisation, predation and climate change are affecting turtles throughout their life cycles. He's also surveyed around 80 wetlands in Perth and the southwest, and he's caught over 5,000 turtles. So we do have some turtles, but it's not all good news. He has also looked at optimising road underpass designs for turtles and how conservation dogs can be involved to help locate turtle nests and protect them, and supervised a bunch of honours students researching things like the relocation, effects of relocation, ideal incubation conditions, hatchling movement, habitat use and survival, a whole bunch of really, really important things that'll be of interest to all of you. All of that research is actually available. You can read his thesis or his honours or any of the publications that are available online. And if you pick up a brochure, on the bottom of it, it's got our brand new web address and our email, so sosnt@murdoch.edu.au, so that you'll be able to send those questions and he can send you a much more in-depth answer than I can give you today. The project that I'm here to talk about now has got these 5 components. One is TurtleSat. It's an engagement and education program empowering communities across the southwest of Western Australia. Now, if you're from the eastern states or elsewhere, you've probably still heard of TurtleSat, or you might have. TurtleSat is an app, and it actually provides an opportunity for people to log sightings of turtles or anything to do with turtles all around the world. So your turtle is most likely on there. Our turtle is the only purple dot on the bottom southwest corner because we only have 2 turtle species. We then grew that to train local people around their local wetlands to become turtle trackers. So more than just a citizen science through observation and sharing your eyes, but become a protector, kind of like a turtle security guard around wetlands in the nesting season. It's only 6 weeks of the year anyway. And the third is engaging the community in the research. So people who are next level volunteers, and you probably are all of those people yourselves because you're here. But you know people like that who would do anything and have plenty of time available and will give that at every level and want to be involved in a higher level than just kind of logging what they've seen. And then the fourth part was the wide range surveys. That's Anthony only though. So that's the formal ecology work that he's doing, and then ongoing community-led turtle recovery programs, which is the step we hope to get to. So, big goals. Need partners, big partners. So this is who we got on board. Lottery West funded the first year of the formal program. So it was piloted with City of Cockburn. They are our founding partner. These guys are amazing, and WA Wildlife, they're considered founders of the program. If you see on the website, you'll, does it go to both? Oh no, there you go, over there. There were some really key partners that helped this happen. So if you guys are doing stuff in your community, partnerships is key, as you know, not just to get the money, but all of those in-kind resources and support and getting your heads together and solving problems. It's really important. So Lottery West funded the first year. At the moment, we're running on no funding until the next state NRM. We've got the grant in, hopefully we get it, but because of the way it's been set up, we can continue to support that program. So this year, it is still running and will be still running next year, one way or another. But all of these organisations are involved, which is really exciting. Keep going to find the little arrow, but it's actually in my hand. We involved in all of these locations. Sampling was done at 2 wetlands. One was the wetland where the turtle trackers were involved, and the other one is what it was called a control wetland. So Anthony surveyed right at the beginning all of the wetlands from the areas that have partnered with us, and he's got one where we were then running turtle trackers and one when we're not running turtle trackers. So over time, we hope to see a difference in wetlands recruitment, juvenile recruitment in wetlands where nests are being protected, because we hope that babies will get back to the wetland more successfully in those cases. So to do that, we also engaged with the community. So all of those locations, we've also run community information sessions and then tracker training for the people who want to go up to that middle level of volunteering. So that's Anthony there. That's what he looks like from a distance. He's a pretty cool dude. I think he's great. I love hanging out with him. There he is again. Actually, I took that photo, so go me. So we had a huge number of people, 120 turtle trackers, 12 wetlands were monitored, 9 sessions, 190 attendees at the actual formal trainings last year. Why is this important? Why do we need this? Because the turtles range, southwest snakeneck turtles range across southwest WA has never actually been scientifically documented or proven. So when we applied after Anthony's initial PhD to have the turtle listed as in decline to the IUCN, it was rejected because there was insufficient data. So data from the Turtle Trackers app and our participants across the whole of the Greater Perth and Southwest region is allowing us to get data to compare against historical records, what there were, which is not very many, to see if there's a change in distribution, to show which wetlands we have already experienced local extinction from, which wetlands are sustaining populations, and importantly, increasing our knowledge on nesting and migration behaviour of the species. Because this is informing management such as where nesting habitat should be maintained, restored and or created in some cases, because we've lost so much. I mean, you will have all heard so many times over that, in particular in Western Australia, we've lost over 80% of our wetlands due to urbanisation and land use change. So that's clearly going to have an impact on wetland dependent species. We also needed to look at predation pressures, because one of the things we discovered in the first kind of years of doing this project and involving the community was that turns out foxes really, really like eggs. So nesting season is kind of like Easter for foxes. It's like goody, goody, goody. And a fox can take out 180 nests a night. So one whole wetland. There's only 6 weeks a year where the southwest snakeneck turtle is usually laying in that period between September and the end of November. There are a few outliers, you know, someone's got out of bed late or went a bit early because they just couldn't be bothered carrying these eggs around any longer. But foxes have a really keen sense of smell. As you know, everything that comes from the bottom of a wetland is pretty stinky, easy to follow, leaves a nice scented trail. So these ladies go out, they lay their eggs. If they make it back to the wetland, past all the hazards, across the roads, past the dogs, whatever, then their one batch of eggs each year gets dug up. Then we're not going to get recruitment. And then even if they do miss at nest and some of those eggs hatch, those tiny little 20-cent sized babies have to get all the way back to the wetland, which, I mean, I think 500 metres is long for the turtle, mummy turtle. But for these tiny little things, it's even further. So we needed to know what the effect of those pressures was. We also wanted to determine if there were certain roads or locations around particular areas that there were lots of turtles getting hit. So we weren't just asking people to tell us about what they've seen in terms of live turtles, but also if they found a squash turtle and it wasn't still alive and they couldn't take it to WA Wildlife, and lots of them were rescued, by the way, thanks WA Wildlife, you guys rock. We were able to identify where they were, and so put in some traffic calming measures and signs and really focus community education in those areas to try and make people aware of these tiny little black critters, the same colour as the road, trying to cross the road, often in wet weather, just practically invisible. So raising people's understanding and awareness and changing human behaviour was a really important part of that. So in short, we needed to engage the community, because by engaging people who were already willing to go for a regular walk around the wetland, I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer. It's not really a big bit out of their life if they're just saying, yeah, I'm going to commit to going for a walk around the wetland once a week for 6 weeks at this time. You get enough people, then all the times are covered. Then you're benefiting them. They reported health benefits. They reported being super excited at seeing turtles because they were being told what the right time was of the year to be out there. And we get the data. So it's win-win, win-win-win. Okay, so the data from people who trained, which is pretty exciting. You can see all these purple dots around there. That's the individual statistics of new turtle trackers. We had 19 after the first pilot year with City of Cockburn. We went up to 309 people around the 12 councils that were involved who were engaged in this tracking. We had more observations in half a year than the 12 years prior, because TurtleSat, the actual app, did exist before. We did have some things. So thank you, community. It's amazing. Many of the previous dots were City of Cockburn turtle trackers and historic observations, which were entered by people who attended information sessions after they learnt about the app and then added data in because they'd been keeping a journal. So also thank you, those of you who've been on the ground doing this for a long time. Most of the wetlands, I love showing this at community events, most of the wetlands where we've got this data now, the 12 from last year, I put up two pictures. One is how much we knew this time last year about turtles, and there's no purple dots. And then I put up the picture of the same wetland with this year's data from October, November, that's just passed, and say, this is how much we know now. It's amazing. And people get really excited. They're like, wow, we do have turtles. I'm like, I know, it's amazing. And some of them look at them and compare them to somewhere else and go, but we don't have very many compared to them. I'm like, I know, we might have to do something about that. So engaging the community and showing them the data is a critical part, feedback is a critical part of involving people. So the data that, oops, that's not on my picture. Oh, maybe it is. Oh well. So these guys trained. We had 9 sessions, 190 attendees, 12 wetlands were monitored and 120 turtle trackers. There's Anthony again. That's a better picture of him in the places. Well, you more frequently see him in waders up to his thighs in water, but that's pretty good. Oh, here we go. So this is some pretty cool data from our turtle trackers engaging the community. You can see how many turtle trackers we had at each of these different council areas. City of Bayswater, Belmont, Big Swamp is in Bunbury, Canning, Claremont, Cockburn, Joondalup and Wanneroo, Kwinana, Melville, Stirling. For those of you who are out of towners, these are all local government areas around Perth, except for Bunbury, which is a local government area quite a long way south, about an hour and a half drive. On average, what's that page? On average, there was between 9 and 11 days out of that 6 weeks that people spent in the field tracking by their own choice. We had between 1 and 49 days of data per person. So all of those people that volunteered to track, some of them were absolutely amazing and went out every day, because it is a bit addictive when you see some turtles. They start going, it's a bit like Where's Wally, except with turtles in the bush. It's pretty cool. 903 days of data we got because of our amazing community. So again, thank you, community. Things we know now because of TurtleSat and people's involvement in saving our snake-necked turtles. We know that before 2020, that we had 18 turtles sighted that had been located, tracked, GPSed. During the program last year, we had a total of 364 turtles that we know had been places and we knew where they were and their common use of that area. And then during this, from altogether between 2020 to February 23, it was 440 in total, but you can see the numbers are steadily increasing. So I'm really excited for this year's nesting season. We're in the process of doing all the training, people are all involved, getting out there, getting their gear ready for the middle of September, because the turtles may start nesting. Their nesting's usually brought on by a change in barometric pressure, so a cold front. But once they go, we have mass nesting events, all sorts of things, and people get really excited and really involved. And we now have 22 councils involved. So this year we've got our 12 that we trained up last year. Volunteers are all excited. Next year, well, this year that's happening now, we've got another 12. So we hope to keep growing it. Then the nest observations, whether they were alive or dead, or whether the nest was protected or destroyed by foxes, we're also recording that data because we need to know. And this has been something that there's the most marked difference between the control wetlands and the tracked wetlands. So the tracked wetlands, where people are actually protecting the nests, all of those nests were protected. almost all, the ones that were already predated before. If there wasn't someone there who saw the turtle, watched her nest and then protected her nest afterwards, often those nests were predated. But we had a huge number of nests protected. Is it on this slide? Nests protected or destroyed? Yeah, so 274 nests were protected last year between August 2022 and February this year. That's 274 nests that last year would have got dug up and eaten. So that's 274 nests, each with up to 20 eggs in them, between 8 and 16 on average. They've got a chance. Like, you know, they can't hatch if they get eaten, but these guys have got a chance. So that's really exciting to me. Of course, last year was Anthony's first year of sampling. This year we hope to find more information, and this is where we get into Anthony's side of the stuff that I know a bit less about, but hopefully can tell you about. He sampled 23 wetlands, did overnight trapping at each wetland. All the turtles were weighed, measured, sexed, ID'd, and females assessed for eggs. So he could tell if there was, you know, a high fecundity or not. What he found in that survey of the 23 wetlands was that there were turtles in 22 of the 23 wetlands that were involved. So there was already a wetland where we thought turtles existed, but they weren't. There is evidence that they were there historically, but none were found. So one wetland in the 23 has already experienced local extinction. He captured 995 turtles with only 14 recaptures. And the turtle numbers were not correlated with wetland size. So, and this is a repeated test, so the reliability and validity of his sampling is actually quite high. It's quite interesting because people often think, oh, the bigger the wetland, the more turtles you might have, but that is not the case. It's more to do with the health of the wetland and the location of remnant vegetation around it. So 48 juveniles were captured, but that was only 5% of all captures. The survey the year before, prior to this, before we had turtle trackers with City of Coven, there was almost no juveniles. We didn't have much recruitment at all. And we all know that if we don't have babies coming back to the wetland, they're not going to grow up and then we're not going to have breeding. So it's really important that we increase that. Due to the life history traits of turtles, their populations should be biased towards juveniles, but the sampling is showing that currently they are not. So we don't have a high number of young turtles in the wetlands. In fact, most of the evidence from the first 5 years of sampling says we've got lots of older ladies, plenty of happy boys, because the boys, they can leave the wetland if they want to. They leave the wetland to find, like, this is what I tell a primary school, if they want to find a new girlfriend or move apartments, they go to a different wetland. But the ladies have to leave the water every year to lay their eggs. And they've got to cross, they need the vegetation around the wetland to protect them. If they cross the wetlands as we like them, well, human society likes them, we tend to have roads and grass, which provides no protection from ravens, from cars, from people, from bikes, from the sun. So his data also showed that the carapace lengths range from 61 millimetres, so teeny, to 30.2 centimetres or 302 mils. So that's about right for a full-size adult turtle. But that was the largest he'd ever captured. Most of them were sort of smallish in size. The next slide's really interesting too, because it shows the differences in the size distribution amongst the wetlands. So each of these are the wetlands that were listed before. There is a key there, but don't worry, you don't have to remember it. There won't be a test. It shows you that there is a big difference between females, which are the red, and males, which are the blue, in their size, and some wetlands. So this wetland here, the turtles just don't get big, and that's okay. They probably grow to the availability of their environment, but it's another thing we don't really know about the species because we haven't been studying them long enough. We also found that there were juveniles present in 13 wetlands, but they made up less than 10% captures at 11 of those wetlands. So this is across all of the sampling. And males and females in all wetlands, there were males and females in all wetlands except for Garvey Park, where they're all girls, but there also weren't very many. So the proportion was females 100%, but it may be that they were actually put there. That is what we suspect in terms of the numbers. So quite often people are trying to do the right thing. They find a turtle crossing the road. They think that's bad for the turtle. I'm going to pick it up and take it to a wetland. And they do. The turtle may stay there. Lots of Anthony's other research in the last 6 months have said that they will travel a long way to get back to their home. But at the time of sampling, there were females in Garvey Park, but nothing else. So there's a lot more information coming about the wellbeing and health of turtles and what we want people to be aware of and be willing to do. But overall, the most important thing that we can all encourage everyone to do is if you see a turtle, log it on TurtleSat. That way we know where they are being seen, what time they're being seen, time of year, time of day, if they're being killed or if their nest's being predated. On the back of this one, if you want to sign up to be a turtle tracker as well and find out your local council if they're involved, you can get more information there. But yeah, there is a lot of information out there